If you see one, run. Do not engage. I repeat. Hello, all you banana people, and welcome to another episode of the Blue Banana Podcast. My name's Sophie, and with me I have Liam and Manu. How are you guys today?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's the
Everyone's
episode.
very excited to be here.
If you could
And
just
thank
carry
you
the
for another
podcast from here,
episode.
that would be great.
I'm feeling very low effort today, yeah.
I just noticed that we're all matching today. We all have black shirts on.
Oh yeah,
Totally
what's that about?
uncoordinated.
Black shirts is meant to be my thing. Manu, you're meant to be in like some sort of hideous grey. What's happening?
No, I'm monochrome. You know. I'm just
Hideous
going.
grey.
I'm going extreme today. I'm feeling flashy. I'm feeling gaudy.
You're just taking after your role model, Liam.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
indeed. I
Liam
was
has
like,
been the role model of our podcast.
I'm gonna go with a neon black.
Neon black. You just turn the black light on. And
Yeah,
You actually do have a black mug as well. Do you usually drink with a black mug?
yeah. It's like thermal, so like when I put like ice cubes in there, it keeps.
I would
everything-
also like to show my black thermos.
I would also like to show my black thermos.
Well, I feel like only the guys in this podcast actually have an actual black phallus-like object that they can show off.
Don't tempt Sophie's collection.
Yeah.
Liam's bigger though, clearly. Liam clearly has
All
the
right.
biggest. Oh, now he changed. You have two mugs.
Yeah, he's showing off.
I always have two vessels.
Multiple phallic objects. Just bring out as many as possible. Liam starts unzipping.
One is for tea, so that my throat gets cleared. The other is water, so that my throat doesn't, or that my lips don't get dry and they start going nah, 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 nah.
Yeah. That's why I try to avoid actually drinking coffee and tea on like days I record, or at least like hours before I record. Just because I get that mad smacking sound. It's really bad.
Yeah, it does really dry you out. I finish a whole 1.5 liter bottle of water every recording. Doesn't matter if it's just like a 10-15 minute video, but it's always a must.
You are well lubricated, holy crap.
Yes. It's not Joey Girl, it's Hydrated Girl.
It's hydrated girl.
Stay hydrated, girl, yeah.
Yeah, that is my motto. I'm the type of person, whenever someone says they're sick, my immediate response is, you should drink some water. I think that will cure everything.
To be fair, it's a great response, because usually you do need to drink more water, and it is the best way
true.
to get you through like 90% of like the low-level sicknesses.
I agree. I mean, I wasn't lying when I genuinely care about people.
You're
When are you lying?
That I'll have to unveil later.
about your height.
I mean, you assumed her height.
I did.
Are we still on that?
I overestimated your height. Yeah, actually, let's continue where we left off.
About miniature Sophie.
Also known as Standard Sophie.
It's much more impressing now how much you drink. Also, like I was always thinking you just have massive glasses that you hold. But now I'm just thinking you have
They
like
are.
regular sized glasses.
No, I think it's sort of a mixture of both. It is sort of a mix of both. They are oversized glasses, but I am also quite miniature. I will have to
Undersized.
take
Yeah,
that.
and can you just hold up your
Undersized.
bottle for us right now?
So these are a must whenever I record.
Nice. I get that though. Like
You drink more than me when I'm recording. That's pretty wild. Surely that's like getting into the territory of overhydration.
I don't think so. I really don't, because I'm still thirsty. I still find myself very thirsty. It's either that or maybe I lack electrolytes.
I mean, we also do a lot of very badly masked pee breaks in between this podcast. So.
Yeah, and I think
yeah.
I go every single time.
As do I, 100%. Never miss an opportunity to go to the toilet is what my mother always
Yep.
said, and she was right.
That's very smart.
Otherwise, you never know when you might go.
It's one of the most important lessons I was ever taught. And that explains why I speak about fictional pirates on the internet as opposed to something that actually helps society.
Wait. Oh, I was like, where's the connection there? Because you're well hydrated, you speak about.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe something about the sea.
I drink a lot of water, and that's why I do YouTube.
That is the secret to success on
it is
YouTube.
indeed.
Secret to success, subscriber count is in direct correlation to how much you pee. I don't know if you guys knew that.
I did know that.
Well then, well, Okay, so out of us three, have we just established which of us goes to the bathroom the most frequently and which one of us is the most hydrated? And then we're gonna have a graph of where our
tier
channels
list,
are
yeah.
sitting at the moment. And we're gonna have Liam fake news plastered.
I would say that I pee more than probably both of you combined.
You think you
I'm gonna
pee
go
more
out
than
there
me?
and say that. I have what we here on the continent call a nanobladder. So anytime like there's even a slight bit of liquid that goes down my throat, 10 minutes later, need to pee.
That must be the worst in movies when you go to the theater. Actually, you did tell us this just last week when you said that you considered going
Yep.
in a cup.
It all ties in together. I didn't say in a cup, I just said going.
Oh, it wasn't even. You weren't even
But-
thinking of going in a cup.
No, 12-year-old
I
me
mean-
didn't think that creatively, to be honest. I was just thinking of going right there and then, but I did decide against it.
I mean, I feel like you guys have a bit of an advantage if you guys wanted to go in the theater because you could probably do it more discreetly in a cup.
It depends how prepared you were. If you brought a funnel or something, you could probably get away with it too.
Yeah, okay. I was just thinking the cups that they where you buy the Coke or whatever at the cinemas.
If you get the mega ones, you pretty much can't miss.
Clearly, I did miss the entrance to this conversation and never found it.
The best way to go to the bathroom inside the cinemas.
Yeah, life hacks, they call them. Movies are long these days. Like, when I was a kid, I was used to like a 90-minute film, not this 3-hour Lord of the Rings business. I had to adapt.
Speaking of which, I went and watched The Batman the other day. Have you guys had a chance to watch it?
That took a twist. I thought you like sat down and actually watched The Lord of the Rings since we heavily recommended it to you. And you were like, actually, after you were like, definitely watch this, you were like, I watched
I was like,
Batman.
no. I have watched Lord of the Rings. I have watched Lord of the Rings when I was younger. The thing about watching The Lord of the Rings now, though, is I can't just stop at one. If I was to watch it, I would have to embark on watching the entire 3 films, and that's a whole 9 hours.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's longer.
That's a much
with the extended edition.
No, Sophie. You also need to do the
Sophie.
extended editions. It is so much
Obviously.
longer,
My
but so much
apologies.
better.
And then also The Hobbit, maybe. Start reading what's the hundreds of books that you said.
Unnecessary Hobbit business. In university, we used to have Lord of the Rings marathons overnight, the extended editions, and it was sort of like a competition to see who could stay awake throughout the whole night. Because there was also quite a bit of drinking involved, so it became difficult.
Was it a drinking game or just casual drinking while
There were
watching?
drinking games, like there were certain rules that we would invent on the spot every time. Like, I don't know, every
I
time
was actually-
Warren is a dick, take a drink.
Oh yeah, I was playing a really funny drinking game the other day with like friends of mine. I'm not sure. Did you watch The Witcher on Netflix? Okay, so basically the main character, it's Henry Cavill, like Superman, right? He's a pretty cool dude. Like he's actually pretty nerdy. Like he's like
He does Warhammer.
Yeah, stuff like that. So he's really cool, and but his character, which is based on the game, which is based on the books of The Witcher. He's like this character that basically just grunts and says like one sentence, like phrases all the time. And so we had this. So basically, it goes a lot like. He's like bad, and like he speaks with a really low voice, very slow.
Like Batman.
Yeah, kind of like Batman. He's like, medieval Batman. And so like we had this drinking game that whenever he would grunt, we'd have to drink. And we were like 30 minutes into the first episode, we had like finished like a 6-pack of beer, like 3 people, like the big ones, like 0.5 liters, because he goes like a lot.
Yeah, I would not be able to survive. I've told you guys this before, but I cannot handle a lot of alcohol. And the terrible thing is it just makes me sleepy. I remember one of the first times I drank was I went to a concert with my sister, and so she gave me some of her beer. And this was one of my favorite artists at the time. I was really into Mumford & Sons, which is sort of like an indie folk.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not picture you as a...
What's that? Is that I Will Wait For You? Is that the one?
Yeah. So this
My
was a
dad's
high
really into
school
that.
Sophie.
It's not a roast, but just a fact.
Well, why don't we have your dad on the podcast then? I'm sure he would appreciate
I'll
it.
ask.
Actually, he won't appreciate this story because I was at their concert, had a beer, and then fell asleep during the concert because the beer made me really sleepy.
Where did you
They do
sleep
that.
on the
In my
floor?
old age drinking, makes me quite sleepy as well.
No, Manu, I didn't sleep on the floor. I had seated tickets, unfortunately. I wasn't able to get the standing tickets. I know. So I might as well have slept.
Who's having a good time? Seriously.
Yeah. That was literally me. I think I skipped through 2 songs and I was like, yeah, that never happened. But still now, even when I go, if I'm having drinks with my friends, they sort of expect that I will be taking a nap time at some point. The key is if I'm drinking and if I'm moving, if we're up and about, I can survive.
Right, don't sit
but
down.
it's sort of those those seated positions, you know, when you're just having a chill night, then I just turn all red and fall asleep.
It's like inviting Sophie over for dinner and she's just sitting there with like a glass of wine, and at some point just like thump.
Yeah, my face will turn the
Face
same
into the
color
plate.
as the wine.
Yeah, and then into the spaghetti.
Yeah.
This is some good wine. I think that's pretty good though. Like you have like great cost performance. I'm really envious of that because I actually have to like go out, spend money.
I mean,
like,
to
put
be
in an
fair though, is
effort.
it performing? It's if one drink and you're out of action, it doesn't sound like the greatest of deals.
Well, I guess it depends.
You might as well stay home.
Yeah, I guess it's what your intention with the alcohol is.
So you guys were surprised about Mumford & Sons.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
to be
Manu,
fair, I
you
don't
clearly
know a
have
lot
a
about
drinking
the musical.
problem. Let's move on.
We're not going to address this at all.
we're gonna let this sit awkwardly in the room and move on to the next topic. Thank you.
All right, where's the blue banana? I think Manu needs to share something.
No,
Hang on,
I'm like
Manu, where are you?
Oh, thank you. You still have it. Passing it back. No,
You
but
meant to
I
grab
think
it.
for me it's like culturally a thing.
Grab
I
my
guess.
banana.
Fine. Again.
Good.
No, but yeah, I think it's like culturally, it's like I'm not sure about Australia, but we're allowed to start drinking at 16 in Germany. So like drinking beer is more
Is
considered.
that publicly?
Oh yeah. Oh wait, do you have the shitty like? Do you have the American like bags where it's like, oh he has a brown paper bag and like is putting it like I wonder what could possibly be in that bag. No,
Yeah,
like
we're not big on public drinking here.
really interesting. Okay. No,
Despite
we
the
definitely-
fact that we are Australia and we have a very problematic drinking culture.
I just more meant that I think you're allowed to drink with your parents, like, you know, at 15, 16. That's
You can,
fine,
yeah, you
but
can drink with
you can't
parental
go out.
supervision, but
Yeah.
it's 18 for on your own.
The legal drink.
No, so in Germany, like beer and like anything that's like up to a certain percentage, you can just like buy legally by 16. Which means obviously, like for example, I don't know, I guess in the US, you're allowed to drink by 21. So people are rebels and start drinking. Okay, I'm just gonna assume here a lot of like might be completely wrong, but I would assume that people start drinking early when they're like 18, but then like for us, since it's like 16, you start drinking early with like 14 or 13 for some people.
Yeah, the American experience is interesting because, you know, 18 to 21, those are like your prime university
Yes.
years, and to not be allowed to
Yeah.
legally drink, oh, that would have changed things so radically.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I guess like in parts of Europe, I can't speak only for Germany for like our experience there, but like during high school, definitely like even like late years of high school, like the last 2 years before you graduate, like usually people start drinking normally like after like evenings or like house parties or whatever.
Yeah, very under the radar here, but yes.
Yeah, as you can clearly tell, it did leave its imprints. Not good for the development of my brain. No, but it
that's
like
why you're also someone who speaks about fictional pirates on the internet.
exactly. But like my liquid was
You're
just my
exactly where you
liquids-
need to be.
Exactly. My liquid experience was different from yours.
So essentially, Manu drinks about as much beer as I drink water, is what I'm getting away from this conversation.
It's not that bad. I mean, like, the thing is...
Yeah, Manu, hold up your bottle of beer right now.
Yeah. I think I might actually have one standing around somewhere, but it's not open. Well, I have a
course
fridge
you
in my
do.
room.
An
I have a
emergency.
fridge in my room. It's my emergency. It's my earthquake. You know how other people have earthquake water? I have, like, just a 6-pack of earthquake beer.
Just a couple of kegs stored away.
When disaster strikes, I don't want to be sober. No, but I mean, I think it kind of changes your relationship to alcohol a little bit, because for me, like, having a beer or two is like pretty like, if you told me you had like a can of beer every day, I'd be like, yeah. And I think for some people it would be kind of concerning if you had like a beer every night.
Yeah, I think I'm one of those people. Because I'm not a big fan of I'm more of a social drinker. If I encounter someone who's like, I need a beer before I go to bed at night, I'm like, that's bordering on problematic, in my opinion.
Alcoholism. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the way you phrase it. If you say, I need a beer
Yeah.
before I go to bed,
Or I
then
enjoy
that
a
sounds
beer.
quite problematic.
I mean, no one says that. They're like, just have a bit of a sneaky beer before bed.
But like, for example, during college, I definitely had like a phase where like just like you'd live like with other people, other young people, and like there would always be someone who just like press a beer into your hand like in the evening. So it's like really easy to just get used to like having at least like a beer in the evening. Like, I don't recommend it because like you get real fat real fast if you drink like beer or alcohol in general every day. But I see like,
There's a reason
especially
why
if
it's
you
called a beer belly.
Indeed it is. Yeah. It's those carbs. But yeah, no, I mean, I definitely see it. And I think that definitely like, cultural framing around like, so not only alcohol, like other things as well. Like, for example, I think smoking in some cultures is way more quote unquote acceptable than in others. Like if you want to open the keg of guns in America, which is like culturally so anchored into like this positive image of the cowboy and freedom and stuff like that. Well, like here in Europe, I shit my pants when I see a policeman. I'm not sure when it started, but I think there were like the terrorist attacks in Paris, and then like after that,
Yes.
police at the airports in Europe started wearing machine guns, and I was like, absolutely, I was like, whoa, this
I
terrifying.
got a huge shock the first time I went to Paris, and I was on the train, and these two policemen just got on board with these freaking massive
AR-15,
automatic
yeah.
weapons, and I'm like,
Holy fuck.
I have never seen one of those in my life, and it is.
Paris legit.
It's intimidating.
Paris legit looks like a war zone. Or it feels like it. Like
Yeah,
like
especially after they
police-wise.
closed off the Eiffel Tower. I believe
No,
after
it's
the
wild.
attacks. Like, I've been there twice. Once before they did that, which is where I proposed to my wife in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Oh,
It was
that's very
very
sweet.
romantic. But then we went back for our honeymoon, and it was, as you said, it looks like a war zone because you've got to go through, you've essentially got to go through customs to get to the Eiffel Tower now.
Like France is really extreme, yeah. But then like even other. So that's just something like me culturally, like I'm so disconnected from. We have like really strong opinions on guns and everything. So like I think for most parts of Europe at least, I can't speak for Australia, but like knives is like the thing that's already scary enough,
I mean,
kind of.
You can because we banned guns. We did a
Yeah.
huge buyback many decades ago. We're very anti-gun.
I think the only country in Europe that's like real, like that's like actually has quote unquote laxer gun laws is Switzerland, where like a large part, or maybe even I feel like there might be a statistic there. Like you have to double check me on that. I feel like it might actually be the country with the most guns per capita, but they barely have like gun violence because they all get like training on it, and basically they all live like 3 cow fields away from each other, I guess.
You're very wrong. It's the United States by far.
Okay. Was it actually the United States? Okay.
Followed closely by the Falkland Islands.
That's probably because they have like 10 people and 12 wolves.
And each wolf needs a gun.
Gun.
An assortment, a handgun and a rifle.
Where's Switzerland in there? Because I did feel like I've heard that they actually have quite a lot of guns.
I don't think they're even in the top 10 according to my very quick Googling.
Oh, then I was indeed very wrong. Maybe it's Europe or something.
Yeah, maybe it's Europe. That could make
I mean,
sense.
most of these, I guess, quite
The
a few. of them
country
are. I
has
think like
about
5 of them are
2
European.
million privately owned guns in a nation of 8.3 million people.
Quite a bit. I think in America it's like, what is it, 2 guns for every 1 person? I'm not sure about that, but I'm
That
pretty
would
sure there
sound
are
about
legitimately
right.
more guns than people.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. 1 for my neighbor, 1 for when the Axeman comes, 1 for the zombies.
Yeah, okay. So there are 393 million guns for 326 million people.
Yeah, holy shit. I mean, it's really difficult because I hate the argument that people have that, and like, again, like, please apologies to like, or like not really apologies, but like this is just like my personal view as like a European. I don't think I have to apologize for it, but yeah, just in case people are triggered by my
You're
views
German,
on
you
guns.
need to apologize.
That was actually that was a really good joke. that was funny. No, but like it's really because I hate the argument when people say, oh, but we need guns to defend ourselves, because I'm like, well, if there weren't any guns, you wouldn't have to defend yourself. And but the problem is that there are so many weapons in the US that like, yeah, you legit, like, if I lived there, I'd probably get a gun just because I'm like, well, everyone has one, so I want to have one as well.
I probably would as well.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it's really difficult. It's also like, I wonder if it's also related to the crime rate in general and how good is public safety and blah, 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 blah. And it probably also depends on the region you're living in. But still, like, I feel like if I don't feel safe living somewhere, or like the thought of that is like foreign to me, I guess, like coming from privileged Germany, quote unquote, like the thought of like relying on a gun to be sure like I can live a safe life. It's kind of a scary thought, I feel.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, because I think that's what it comes down to. It's just such a foreign thought to us, which is why I suppose living there, I guess it's just like the reverse, but it is a really strange thing to think about. I didn't really think about it from that perspective. If I was to live there, maybe you would actually need a gun to feel safe because everyone else has one. Because I remember I had a friend from America in primary school who moved to Australia and told us that her grandma had a gun, but she was living here. And we were all like, why on earth would she have a gun? But it makes a lot more sense when you think about it, culturally.
The way I think about it is it's something that I would want to have in my house, just in case of like someone breaking in with a gun or like, I don't know. It's a horrible mindset which like perpetuates the endless cycle of guns, but if everyone else has got one, I don't want to be the person without one.
Without the gun,
I think that's why it would have to be just a holistic thing, because the whole problem is the kids getting access to it, right? Because parents have it in their drawers or something, and then it's young, 6-year-olds, 10-year-olds who somehow find their way.
And then the weird argument is like, if you do get a gun safe, then how good is it in an emergency?
Right, it's like,
go to the safe and undo all the safeties, and it's like,
Like you
I don't know.
one
To
in
be
the garage,
fair, I don't know anything about guns. It could be really quick.
And then you have to like run around the house and kind of like put the gun together while like there's this dude chasing you.
We're particularly strict with gun laws in Australia. In fact, when you have a replica in a stage show, you need to hire a proper armorer and a gun safe to keep the replica away from people. That's how seriously we take things.
I mean, it's not a bad thing. I guess you guys just have like boxing gloves for when the kangaroos attack, right?
Yeah, but you need your license to get those. Pretty devastating weapons.
And you're like, come here. How bad? Okay, so like this is something I always wanted to ask. Because like, I feel like growing up, my image of Australia was always like every morning you have to check your shoes because there might be like a fucking spider in there, and then like in the pool of my neighbor there's like a damn alligator. Like how bad is it actually? I guess in Sydney it might probably not be as problematic as like in like other parts of the country would be my guess. What's like how often does it happen?
I've lived in both. Like the country is definitely slightly more terrifying. I went to uni in the country. I lived in a place called Wagga Wagga. And I was...
Sophie's just
it means crows. Lots of crows. It's about 6 hours out of Sydney. And I was walking home from class one time. It was kind of dark. And I was walking up to this giant rock that it was very suspicious because I'd never seen it before. And then, very terrifyingly, the rock stood up. And it was a giant grey kangaroo, like a couple of meters away from me, which could pretty seriously disembowel me if it... so felt.
Do they do that?
How close did you get?
I got pretty damn close. I was about 3 to 4 meters away. It was.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was a kangaroo, but they were just allowed to roam free. It was pretty cool. Another time we had a brown snake in our house, which, Manu, if you don't know, are the most poisonous snakes in the world, which is pretty terrifying.
Great. With a lame name though.
But
is this in your Sydney home?
No, this is in Wagga. In Sydney, the worst you get are spiders. And they get pretty bad, the spiders.
Why would they give one of the deadliest snakes in the world one of the lamest names in the world?
I know, like right? It doesn't strike fear into you at all. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a cute little brown snake.
It's
a little brown snake.
I'm really traumatized by these, do you know these like relatively small ones that are red with like these kind of like black and white rings? I think they live like in like Brazil and stuff. Like it's more like a jungle snake. But they're relatively small. But like for some reason, I feel like when I was really small, I saw like a documentary that like 1/100th of like one drop of their poison can like kill you instantly. I was really traumatized by that.
It's the small ones you've got to watch out for. It's the same with Australian spiders. Like the really small ones tend to be the deadliest. Like your classic redbacks.
Otherwise,
They're
you just
tiny.
have friendly. What are they? I can't remember. I always call. They are called daddy long legs.
Daddy long legs?
Daddy
Yeah.
long legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. The daddy long legs. They're just friendly. Apparently,
great
they're very
spiders, yeah.
poisonous, or apparently they're very harmful for other insects or small animals.
Right.
But they just can't harm humans because of our size.
Which is why some people purposely keep them in their houses.
So one thing I wanted to ask you guys actually is because like what I've heard is that actually all spiders are it's venomous, I guess, not poisonous. I feel like someone corrected me on that once. But like actually just most spiders just can't get through the human skin is what I've heard.
Or they don't inject you with a dose potent enough to do anything.
Or that, yeah. But in theory, every spider has like poison or venom, I guess.
I'm gonna have to fact check this
Oh, okay.
because I don't really
Okay, I
know
thought-
the answer.
I was like, if like Australian would be the person to ask.
If you're
you.
Australian, you need to know.
I thought so.
It's one of the
so.
first things you learn in kindergarten.
I thought that's
Sort of
what you
like
learn in school.
A tip on survival in Australia.
Well, according to Spidentify, there's only like a small group of spiders that are non-venomous. They look creepy as shit, but right. Oh no, I can't pronounce this. The Uloboridae, and I don't know where they come from. It's Australia.
All the
They come
spiders
from
are
Australia.
like, of course. They
Of
do.
course.
It's
All
from
the
the
other spiders
Australian
are like,
Spider
"Yo."
Identification.
You don't have venom. How
We
lame.
basically get taught which ones to not touch, which is
Exactly.
all of them, but ones to seriously not touch.
All right, guys. Today I'm going to teach you about what spiders not to touch. It's all of them. Just stay the fuck away. Class over.
If you see one, run. Do not engage. I repeat, do not engage.
It's like high-level education.
It's effective. It gets the message through.
It does. It does. What about the alligators?
Well, we have crocodiles.
Oh, is it
in
crocodiles? Okay.
Australia. Yeah, alligators are a very northern hemisphere thing.
Is Egypt also?
I
That's
don't-
also crocodiles, huh?
Good question.
Nile crocodile. I feel like that's even. Not
I
even.
feel like it's
Crocodiles are bigger, right? Than alligators. I feel.
Sebek, ancient Detox. Sorry, I'm knee deep in Australian. Okay, yeah, Egyptian crocodiles. Crocodiles in Africa. Well, Egypt is in Africa, so that makes sense.
Nice. So you have like the larger ones, right? With crocodiles.
I'm gonna say yes.
I mean, it's Australia.
Oh no, I mean like because alligators I think are.
We
just,
have
like,
the largest everything, except for spiders and snakes and
and
penises.
penis.
Saltwater crocodile is the largest crocodile species in the world, which says nothing about alligators. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to go out on a limb. It's a 50-50.
I do feel.
thing
I do feel so.
happening
Yeah, I do feel I've heard that. Though to be fair, like even in the U.S., like by now I feel like they have all the weird animals somewhere running around. Isn't there like a zebra herd running around somewhere in like the
there?
southwest? Yeah. Pretty sure they have like a wild zebra. Is it? Do you say zebra or zebra in Australia?
I
Zebra.
say zebra.
Well, because
I
we
say
say
zebra.
Z instead of Z. Or
That's
we're
true,
supposed
I
to,
still say zebra.
Sophie.
Oh my god.
I'm an
That's
outlaw.
it. Can I see your Australian license actually while we're here? I just need to do a
Minus-
spot check.
Minus
No,
10
I
Australian
haven't
points.
passed yet. I haven't gone through the induction yet. I don't have the license to fight a kangaroo. No boxing
Do a
gloves.
shoey right now.
You're still a learner.
Yeah.
I need to get you on your P's.
I still spelled everything with Z's.
Yep, according to the New York Post, herd of zebras still on the loose in Maryland. Quote, they're
Fantastic.
just too fast.
I love it. I love that.
Okay.
We should review more
That's-
weird like news articles on this podcast. Yeah, and there's also I think more tigers in the U.S. than in like Africa. Something. Oh, is it lions? There's no tigers in Africa.
Yeah, but not naturally though, right?
But
They'd
it's
all be
not- and
imported,
it's not
surely.
wild.
No, of
right?
course, yeah. They're all like basically trafficked. Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me as much. I think I remember watching a documentary about the Philippines and sort of about colonization in the Philippines and the rise and falls of like different empires and things. And I can't remember one president's name, which is really bugging me. I'm gonna have to search it up. But they basically brought in a whole took over an island, brought in a whole bunch of animals to make it sort of like a safari, and then basically left. Never paid anything for the maintenance, and so the animals just took over the island. But they're all sick. You know, the people who were actually living there lost their homes, having to fight with the animals for like their basic livelihood, and it was just so sad, like from both perspectives.
That's some classic colonial shit right there.
It was one of the it was a Filipino president, I think. But it must have been during one of their times of like military dictatorships.
Right. Yeah, the Philippines haven't had it easy in general, I feel, politically.
No.
Do you reckon like 20 years later, that president was like, woke up in his sleep, was like, oh fuck, the animals.
I thought I left the oven on for 20 years. What's the animals? Maybe. Probably, I feel. I feel like the scariest animal, like I want to hear what your animal is that you're most scared of. But like I think like I have a lot of respect for bears. So apparently there was like this king at some point who was like so bored with all his money and power, terrible problems. And so he bought a lot of like massive animals from all around the world and basically pit them against each other. And the bear fucked up everything every single time, like lions, crocodiles, like anything. Like bears apparently, like when they like strike you with the claws and like their jaw, like everything is apparently just viciously powerful.
I can understand that, I think.
Like grizzlies in particular.
I don't know if I've got like a ceiling of terror. But I feel like if you're going to ask me, what would you rather fight, the lion or the bear? I would probably be about the same level of, oh shit, I'm about to die either way.
I mean, at some point it probably doesn't matter. Hippos, also surprisingly deadly, apparently.
For such a funny name.
Elephants as well.
Yeah.
But apparently hippos
Also
actually,
giants.
others than elephants, go like after people, apparently. Like, let me look that up, that number. But like, again, like a fun fact that I have to fact check. But I do think there's a lot more people getting killed by hippos each year than by sharks.
Oh yeah, 100%. Every year across Africa, hippos kill an estimated 500 people,
Yes.
making them the world's
I just looked that up
deadliest
as well.
mammal after humans. So hippos are coming for our title.
So don't fuck with hippos.
I shouldn't be laughing at this because it's probably terrifying, but there's this picture of a dude running away from a hippo. Like,
You have to wonder who captured that.
No, but they
I'll throw it
chase
in
you.
the chat, but it's terrifying. It
Oh
looks
my God.
hilarious yet terrifying because it's a hippo.
I feel like I might
but
have seen that.
That thing's gonna.
Oh,
F you.
yeah. Oh, shit. Yo, it has like this look on its face also.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Like,
Oh,
I'm
You're
against
that's
my
you.
close
lunch.
as well.
Yeah.
It is close.
It's like,
And
bro,
they are
you're my
shockingly
lunch.
fast. Like, don't judge them by their size. They gonna catch you.
Okay, so for some reason, I don't know why I have all these. Maybe I watch too many, like, animal documentaries while I'm high. But I do feel there was, like, a... I feel like there was, like, a documentary by Vox about how Pablo Escobar had like his private zoo in Colombia, and now they have like a hippo manifestation in Colombia because basically nobody took care after his death, and they're all now infesting like all the rivers and like attacking people there.
That certainly does top our rabbit pest in the outback.
Yeah, exactly. So experts estimate like that by now there's a population of around 70 hippos in the Colombian wild today, and they're apparently just
70
like mating
hippos.
there. That's really ridiculous.
Give them a couple of 100 years and they'll be the dominant
Yeah.
life form.
The current population has
Exactly.
risen to as many as 120, so they're really like multiplying.
Yeah,
They're called
that's almost
Pablo
double.
Escobar's cocaine hippos, which is a fantastic
Oh, I think
name.
I've heard of these, yeah.
Which is like one of my favorite like stories ever. I feel it's so good. I feel like that might have been like a Johnny Harris video if I remember correctly.
The sad thing is they're so cute.
Yeah, they look really cute. Except when they start chasing after you, I guess.
I know, like, I'll send you another image. They look very patable.
But don't try it at home, kids.
Like, they just look like big, gentle chonkers.
Yeah, the one you sent is so it's so shiny as well.
Yeah, they
So
look
So
like big,
tactile.
smooth and
and like they look like like genuinely overweight people.
Yeah. Like, that guy's never going to catch me.
No, that guy looks like you'd find him like at like, I don't know, like 10 a.m. in the morning eating like 3 McMuffins or something at a McDonald's.
Such a specific order.
You're right. He looks pretty cute.
Very. Sort of looks slug-like, like an oversized slug.
Right.
And is it
Like
just me, or
Jabba
does
the Hutt.
does its nose and jaw just kind of look like a testicle sack?
Well, yeah, they do. Yeah, they clearly do. That hippo looks surprisingly fast in the earlier video, but that guy looks like it can barely stand up. So let me look up hippo.
That's the
Maximum
dichotomy of
speed.
hippo, though.
Yeah.
They are the same thing at once.
Okay. So I want your guesses for what the max speed of a hippo is.
Oh god.
Well,
Can say
can I have...
20 k's an hour.
What's your
I was
guess?
thinking around the same. I was going to go 30k.
30.
That's not the same. Okay, the actual answer is 48 kilometers per hour. Which is...
Holy crap.
God,
faster
they're
than
too
people can
fast
run.
for school zones in Australia.
Which, let me put that in, which is... How fast for American people?
Specifically
30 miles
American
per
people.
hour.
How fast are... I
30
thought
miles
you were
per hour.
searching for how fast is the average American.
Let me look that up. Well, now I'm gonna look this up.
Maybe do it for Colombia, and then that'll be more of a helpful sort of
Colombians
tip.
on average 48 kilometers per hour in terms of speed. It's got to outrun those hippos.
Okay, well, what are your estimates for the average male
For the
American?
average-
Oh no, this is just males in general.
The average male, it's got to be like somewhere between like 10 to 13 k's. That might be generous.
Yeah, 8 miles per hour run speed on average, which is like 10
Wait a
kilometers.
second.
13 kilometers per hour. So I was just looking up. I found an article that was called "How Fast Can the Average American Run a Mile?" Which was like a kind of like a Quora-like question. And like the first answer is, I don't think most Americans can run on average, which is pretty savage. A very cold-blooded answer to this question.
To be fair, Australians are also known as a fairly obese country.
I think at one stage we were the most.
Really? That is impressive. I think it might be Mexico right now.
I think I saw this in a museum somewhere where they had like the average groceries for families around the world. And was it Mexico who just had like bottles and bottles of Coke because it was cheaper to buy than water?
Yes, apparently the American Coke, or like just Coke as a company, has like really like monopolized the drinking market apparently in Mexico. Like not only Mexico but also like China has like a real big problem with Coke as well apparently, where like high school kids mostly drink Coke and stuff, and it's literally cheaper to buy Coke than to buy water, which is absolutely like hilarious. Yeah, sodas fuck you up, people. Don't drink sodas, or don't drink it too often.
Oh, yeah.
It is not a water replacement.
Yeah, it really isn't. It's really interesting. For example, like I was really into smoothies for a while, like fruit stuff as like a dessert kind of like replacement. So like berries and bananas. But apparently, when you like mix stuff in like mix it in a mixer and like make it a smoothie or juice, apparently like liquefying it like brings the sugar, like kind of like it destroys like the good molecules that are like healthy for you, but at the same time it transports the sugar way faster into your bloodstream.
Even if it's just actually like fruit-based, real
Yeah.
fruit-based, it's not good for you because...
yeah.
And also I think the problem is that you tend to have to put in like a whole lot of fruit in there to make up a whole juice, so you're eating a lot more fruit than you should be.
Yeah.
And that's why those like fad diets are really bad for you. And actually sort of on that note, like topically, a famous Australian cricketer died recently, Shane Warne.
Shane Warne.
What was he? A cricketer?
Yeah, cricket player.
He was...
Right.
Are you familiar with the sport?
Is it the one with the weird triangular thing where you're like, it's kind of like hockey but weird? Or it's,
triangular thing.
Triangular?
oh no, I'm thinking of lacrosse. Never mind. Sorry. Cricket, is that the
No.
one with from the
Cricket.
horse?
Oh.
So, well, you have the bat, and there's some stumps, and there's a lot of standing around, and you break for tea in the middle. and some matches can take 5 days.
Is that the one you can
Yeah.
play from a horse?
No, that's polo.
That's oh, okay. Well, I think I know which one. Is it like with the hoops in the ground?
No.
It's
Hoops. Sophie, you want to go play cricket? Grab your hoops.
I'm gonna look up what cricket is. Now.
Look it up.
That sounds so British.
it
It
is a
is.
British. Yeah.
But most of what we do takes after the British.
There's the ICC, the International Cricket Council.
It sounds like the most boring
Actually,
organization.
I just looked it up, and there's a live game right now in the second in between Pakistan and Australia. In case you've been wondering.
I don't actually follow the
Really
sport.
haven't. I despise cricket.
I'm not a big fan of the
Despite
sport.
it being a
Oh,
national
it's-
sport.
That what it is. With the
Yup.
weird bets. Okay.
That's-
That looks like funny baseball.
I'm quite unfamiliar with the sport as well, but yeah, sort of. I guess it's a similar concept. But
However, the cricketer who
different.
just died, Shane Warne, he is probably the most rock and roll cricketer to have ever lived.
And he died of
He
fruit
is the
juices.
kind of guy.
sort of like the definition of larrikin.
Like he took larrikin a step further, I think.
What's larrikin?
He's the sort of guy who would have like drug-fueled threesomes the night before a match, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Like have them caught on camera. And he was with Liz Hurley for a while, if you know who she is anymore, yeah. She was in the first Austin Powers film. So he was like a proper rock and roll celebrity cricketer.
Nice. And he died of fruit juice?
He passed away recently. I think it's suspected of heart attack. He was in Thailand and they found him. And I think apparently he was complaining of chest pains and other heart problems. Apparently they have ruled out drugs, so they said natural causes.
He was just there for holiday?
But apparently
The rock and roll star?
Well, that's a thing. But apparently for
we've
weeks,
ruled out
he'd
drugs.
been
It was like-
on-
Did he take any drugs? We don't know. There's so many of them in his blood.
But the thing is apparently he had been actually on like an intense fruit juice detox diet for weeks.
Really?
And that's a lot of the articles that I've been reading. I don't know how true it is, but yeah, so really not good for you.
Yeah.
All of these fruit juices, fat diets.
Yeah,
type
I mean,
things.
detox in general is like kind of, I think, proven as far as I know to be bullshit. Like the benefit of detox is that you don't eat sugar, which is like, but like you don't actually detox. Like there's nothing going out of your system. You're just like stopping putting bad stuff in your system, which is the good effect you sometimes
And I
get out of
suppose the
it.
problem is like at some point you're going to have to consume something and then it just destabilizes your blood levels so fast afterwards. But it's crazy how much it still works, like as in how much detox diets are still prevalent in, you know, media and prevalent in like society so that people still believe it. Because I know for the longest time, I knew people who wouldn't eat but would just drink smoothies and drink these detox smoothies as meal
Yeah, that
replacements.
was really popular a while ago. Yeah. I mean, like, nutrition is a really tricky thing because, like, there's so much science on it and a lot of things aren't really clear. But, like, some things are really clear, like sugar is really bad for you. And like, I think the consensus is kind of at the moment that, like, every human being needs, like, his own or their own nutritious plan because every body kind of, like, likes different things and, like, reacts differently to different things. But there are some universal things that I think are pretty clearly good for you and some things that are pretty universally bad for you. So like eating a lot of processed meat and stuff like that, which by the way is absolutely terrible here in Japan because I've been to restaurants, most restaurants here actually I feel like don't have a vegetarian option. Like, it's really bad.
That's very similar to Korea as well. Even if it's a vegetarian option, a lot of like the broth might be pork-based or something because there's so much soup. Because I have a brother-in-law who's Muslim, and when he was in Korea, he was so limited in what he could eat. And even if he asked, you know, there'd be no meat, but it would come out and it would be, you know, traces of something.
Right. It's fucking, I have a really funny story. Like, we went to this onsen place, and after the onsen, like, or after the first round of the onsen, we had like lunch there. And it was like only meat, and I was like, I've been eating meat every single day of this week. I'm like, I just want, like, I don't feel like it really today. I don't like want to reduce my intake. So I looked at the menu, and like the only thing without meat that I saw was grilled vegetables, which I felt was evidently, or like, I didn't see how that was like anything other than grilled vegetables. What came was a pile of grilled pork with with some vegetables on top. And I was like, this is either ridiculous or the cook has like listened in on me and played like the biggest troll in human history on me right now. I was like, can't believe this has happened. So yeah, and like, but this is an experience I've sadly like have repeatedly made. It's really difficult, and I'm not sure about Korea or like Australia even. I'm not sure how much of your food you grow yourself and how much you import, but buying good vegetables and like healthy things here in Japan is actually not that easy. It's relatively expensive to cook like vegetable based here, and like meat is ridiculously cheap, like chicken or something. You can get like I feel like 200 grams of chicken for like maybe $1 or $2, maybe even, or probably less. And then like vegetables are really
I feel like
expensive.
in most places chicken would be quite easily accessible compared to meat. I mean, like compared to other meats. I mean, I imagine the beef would be expensive in Japan. I'm imagining that it's not too far off from Korea.
No,
because I
probably
know
not,
that
yeah.
it's a similar thing in Korea, and beef is very expensive in Korea, whereas pork and chicken is definitely a lot cheaper.
I do know that Japanese markets artificially keep the prices for certain items up. So I always thought that it's just very expensive to import, for example, like European goods into Japan. So for example, if you want to get like good cheese or like European, like, I don't know, Spanish ham or like Italian cheese or something. I just
Nice
thought
Dutch
it's just...
cheese.
Yeah, I just thought it's like a logistical effort to get that stuff here, and there's probably like a price on it if you export it, which makes it even more expensive than at home. So I thought all of these things just like naturally added up to it being really expensive when you buy it here in Japan, like 5 to 10 times the price you pay sometimes in Europe for something. And then I actually met a guy he's actually Australian guy who lives in Japan, who runs a Spanish restaurant, or it's like a tapas restaurant kind of. And he had really good prices for like decent portions of like European like dishes. And so I asked him, I always like, how are you paying for this? I like, this must be incredibly, like, is this profitable for the prices that you import the stuff? And he's like, no, like importing stuff from Europe it barely costs anything. It's just that like most Japanese restaurants, they know that like they'll get away with it just being expensive. And I was like, wow, that kind of blew my mind a little bit. And apparently that seems to be the case for vegetables as well.
Because importing food from Europe is also, well, to Australia is not particularly bad. Because my wife and I regularly import some cheese from Amsterdam that we quite enjoyed.
Cheese. Is that what the kids call it?
Yeah.
Eating some cheese.
Some sort of stinky cheese.
It's delicious. It's called Villig. It's amazing. Try it. There are so many different
Particular
kinds.
strain.
That does sound great. They do have great cheese.
Going to Europe ruined me for eating anything in Australia.
Culinarily, yeah, I can see that. We have good food.
I'm such a snob over here now.
I mean, I think it's fine having like, I feel like food-wise, having certain standards is okay. I feel like sometimes you run into issues with it, I guess, but I do
The
see where you're
standards in
coming from.
Australia are very low, having experienced Europe now. All bread in Australia, I'm going to go so far as to say, is disappointing compared to the worst quality bread that you could get in France.
Liam,
Yes.
speaking to someone who is gluten intolerant, you are not allowed to complain about the bread you're eating.
Again, I told you, this has turned me into a snob.
So gluten intolerance is something that I realized that I had recently, but apparently I think I must have had it all my life and I just never realized. But it's something that really became prevalent when COVID first broke out back in 2020. And I think the reason it must be just a mixture, of stress. It's exactly what it was, because we were all in isolation and we weren't allowed to go out. What we did was I think we had maybe an exercise. You could go out for exercise and some other limited things. So exercise was one of the only things you could go out for. And so what I would do every day is go for a walk to my local bakery, buy fresh bread, and have sandwiches, for breakfast, and then have the leftover bread for lunch or something.
Exercise.
You
Toast for breakfast
OD'd and it
sandwiches for lunch.
activated you.
Exactly. So yeah, now I cannot eat bread. And bread, this is the extent to which how much I love carbs and how much I love bread as well, was when in high school, because that local bakery would be next to my train station, I would walk to the train station, and on my way I would pick up a big a big baguette and a damper. I don't know what to call it. A cob loaf. A big
I
cob
love
loaf.
that it's this.
Like, it's big. It was big.
Yeah. They do
was-
come
I-
very big here.
I kid you not, half my size in length, in height. And all I would do for that day was
So it
I
was
would
a
just
medium.
pick.
Yeah. Oh, it was
For everyone else.
half your size. Really? Wow. That's pretty.
But that's all I would eat the entire day. Is I would just pick on that bread throughout the day, and that
Okay,
would be sort
so-
of my lunch.
Well aware of the risk of sounding very insensitive here. Without any scientific backing of this, I personally have the opinion that if you've just regularly eaten something your entire life and suddenly you find out you're intolerant, you're not actually intolerant. Like, could it be that you just like overdosed on bread?
Your scientific opinion is rejected.
Is that a thing? Yeah.
Well, I think that's. I think I had been eating it, and I never realized, because I actually did have some of the symptoms, and I just never knew why my body
Okay.
was the way it was. For example, so you guys know by now that I enjoy tanning, but I would always find that I have like white spots on my body. It wouldn't always evenly tan. So some spots would just be lighter than others, and I never knew why that was. And then I found out that gluten intolerance actually does that to you.
What I do want to know though then is it like you stopped eating gluten like completely, or is it like sometimes you'll take like a bad tummy in like it's like, okay, well, it's gonna be worth it if I eat this like glorious sandwich now?
So when I first realized that I was intolerant, I was taking those sort of risks, and I was, life's too short. I gotta enjoy the food that I want to enjoy. But over time, it has become less and less worth it. But I also think that also makes it worse because I'm consuming it less and less. On the off chance that I do consume it, even if it's accidental, the repercussions of it is just far more severe. So then now I'm like, holy crap, I really will stay away.
Because you're just becoming more and more intolerant to it as you gain less exposure to it.
Sophie has just become
weaned
more
off.
and more intolerant. No foreigners
Sophie
in
is
Australia.
incredibly intolerant.
Low tolerance.
That's like, is gluten intolerance, is rice included in that?
No. So rice
that's
isn't
your
included.
so your Asian gene counters your gluten intolerance basically.
But it also adds a lactose intolerance.
I don't have lactose intolerance though.
Oh.
Thank goodness for that. And because I'm someone that really enjoys food, and I'm not a very picky eater as well, so I really just enjoy eating food. And if you're surprised at how much I can drink for my size, I can also eat quite a lot for my size.
I'm aware
And I think
of
Liam
your
could back
claims.
me up on this. I don't think there's ever been a time where Liam, you and I have eaten and I've stopped eating before you have.
I think you've always eaten more than I have in general. It shocks me. You're like Blackbeard from One Piece. Your stomach is just this
Infinite void.
cherry pie engulfing black hole that never ends.
Sophie goes like, domain expansion.
Limitless void. Was it you who made the bold claim that you could eat more McDonald's fries than a friend of ours could eat McDonald's sundaes?
Yeah, and
believe.
was it thick shakes for you, I think?
Thick shakes. I bet I could
McDonald's thick
outdrink
shakes.
you.
I think I could eat a never-ending amount of McDonald's fries because they're so small.
Semantically
and so
speaking, no, you cannot
don't-
because it never ends.
Okay, I could.
That's a math joke.
He also used the word semantics in there. Lots of
Intellectual
Just to prove
points.
how much of a
Going
wanker
on.
I am, yeah.
That's a lot of intellectual points right there.
But that's why I want to test this. I don't know if we're just joking, but I legitimately want to do this because I want to put a number on the fries that you can eat.
I want to do it because I would like an excuse to eat that much fries.
Sounds pretty good. I did have McDonald's on Friday for the first time in like a long time. And then I remembered instantly why I didn't
Why
have
you don't
McDonald's
have
in a long time. It's like, wow, this tastes, because like we got like, there was like this special menu in Japan. I'm not sure if that's global or like local, these like special sets. I'm always confused which is which. But apparently they had like,
We definitely
it was like
have it.
tokubetsu size. So also like special sized chicken made nuggets. So it was like 15 pieces and like 2 packs of fries. So like we ordered 3 of those for 2 people. And I was like, wow, this tastes fantastic. And the second I was done eating this, I was like, this was a great mistake. I kind of imagine it's a bit like what it must feel like when you cheat on someone. Like I haven't added that to my list, and I don't plan to add that on my list on the things I do. It's not on my bucket list, but I do feel like
next time you order Macca's, it's like, can I get the 15 nuggets and a fare?
And the cashier, please.
And a side piece.
Cram all of your regret into one singular experience.
No, but I was wondering.
Min-max your regret.
Exactly. I was wondering, is like, you kind of like, while you're doing it, it feels fantastic. And you're like, I should do this more often. It's so liberating. But the moment you're done, you kind of like start feeling dirty and you're like unsatisfied and you kind of wish you'd never done it in the first place. That popped into my head. But maybe I'm wrong. So like people out there who have cheated on their partner, please let me know your experience.
Let us know in the comments.
Tag your girlfriend.
And make sure to leave your full name.
And the full name of the person you cheated with.
Going back to Macca's though, not being able to eat it has actually become a bit of a problem for me because I find I get hungry very easily as well. I think I have quite a fast metabolism, and because I don't know about you guys, but I find that making videos on YouTube, I stay up a lot later than I normally would, or I would have before I started the channel. And so my problem is even after I've had dinner, because I'm up past midnight, I am hungry again. And in those wee hours of the night, there's not much options apart from McDonald's. But because I have gluten intolerance, there's really no food that I can eat.
Except the fries.
But even the fries, I don't actually know if I can have it because a lot of fries, I know that they coat it in flour, or a lot of places do. I don't quite know if that's the case at McDonald's, but I know in some places
they do because my wife can eat the fries and she's incredibly intolerant.
Okay.
In fact, my wife had a very similar story to you when Chantal was in university. I believe Chantal OD'd on spaghetti rather than bread and got the gluten intolerance bug started that way.
Wow.
It happens. It's like a thing that just activates at a certain point in your life. Sometimes it's triggered by something, but I also know people who it's just sprung out of nowhere.
Like hay fever.
Sure. Like a permanent hay fever.
No. I mean, like for me, like I never had hay fever, and at some point in my life, it just started randomly. But I've heard that happens like with people. Like that seems to be a thing apparently. I mean, going back to your story, Sophie, I feel like I would recommend not making a habit out of eating late. I feel like that's
it's bad in general.
It's not good for you. Because that also screws up your sleeping cycle.
Yeah, and you fall asleep like less well as you would like with a, you know, because your body starts.
Like
I feel like it's one of
feeling
these.
sick.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of these things you can get used to very easily. Because like chill, like I used to like always like, you know, while watching a movie or something, like in bed already, still like snack something or something, which is nice, but
It has its pitfalls. Well, lucky for me, I can't eat it anyways.
Peanut butter, on the other hand.
Peanut butter, well, that's the thing. I run out of peanut butter so fast.
Yeah. Have we talked
literally
about your
go through
8 kilo
a
jar
jar.
yet?
My 8 kilo jar. 8 kilo jar. I've cut back. I actually bought a new
From
jar of
8
peanut butter
kilos.
yesterday, and it was only 750 grams. So not even a kilo.
wow, that's like nothing.
That's significantly less.
That's like
But I have to
Close to
say that I've
zero
actually
peanut
gone through
butter.
quite a bit of it as well. Yeah, nothing at all.
Well, we used to go to the peanut butter bar quite frequently, or a peanut butter bar.
Yeah, you look very surprised, Madhu. I'm not too sure how to read that expression.
Well, I was surprised by 2 factors. I was just like, my first thought was there's a peanut butter bar, and then my second thought was like, did Liam just realize he doxed him his peanut butter bar and then tried to correct himself?
No,
like-
there are several of them, but I did hold back from saying which one it is.
Oh, okay. I was like, and we went to the peanut butter bar. I mean, a peanut butter bar.
It's like our peanut butter bar, but there are definitely multiple, because I've been to several over the course of my life. Like,
Oh, really?
Well, then I'm
I
surprised
feel
by
quite
that
betrayed.
fact
I
as
thought that
well.
was.
Yeah.
I thought us going was your first.
I guess
I thought we
the
had
regret I
something
feel after
special.
going to a peanut butter bar without you is like Manu's regret after cheating on his McDonald's partner.
Because I was actually going to say, when you said frequently, I was like, I don't think I've gone frequently with you. I think we've only gone the once.
Are you insane? We've gone much more than once.
To the peanut butter bar.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I went with someone else.
Ooh, cold.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go cry.
That is cold.
I can tell you that I've been there multiple times.
I cannot say the same.
Well, maybe I've just exposed myself there.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, so obviously Liam has cheated on our peanut bar experience. So can you confirm for Manu, is that what it feels like, eating Maccas?
Felt pretty
after a
good at the
very long
time.
Can't imagine.
But now,
But
I will
now
say,
that it's
it's
over.
very
I
awkward for you.
have nowhere near as much regret after the peanut butter bar as I do with like Macca's or KFC or something. As soon as in fact, even before you finish the last bite, it's usually about halfway through that I go, and then I
yeah.
finish it anyway, because that's what I am.
Or when the fries get, like, when they go cold.
Or just even moderately warm. They need to be like hot and fresh, otherwise you start to taste what you're eating.
Did you ever get to the point where, like, you're so into the fries that you kind of, like, overeat on the fries and you forgot you still had a burger, and then at some point you look at that burger and you're like, I can't believe I still have to eat this burger. And then it's, like, already
I will
slightly
say
cold.
never, because I don't eat McDonald's burgers. I am like a fries and nuggets fiend.
That is good for you.
And hash browns.
For me, it doesn't matter what state the fries come. Even if they're bad fries, I have a hard time not eating them. And the whole time I'm going, these are crappy fries, but I will eat them because I
get that.
really
I get that.
enjoy fries.
I totally understand. There's no shame in that statement, I feel. I totally get behind that. I've actually never had KFC in my life, though.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Even Christmas in Japan didn't solve that for you?
No, like, what we
You've not
did.
had the authentic experience.
I did not, no. So what we did last year, because I couldn't go home to Europe because of COVID, what we did is, like, I gathered, like, some of my European friends and some of, like, our Japanese friends, and we just, like, went full on the European, like, we mixed, like, different European countries' traditions, kind of, like. I mean, we do have KFC in Europe, so I wonder. I just never felt like it. Maybe it's like that bucket experience that I'm not a fan of, like eating your food out of a bucket.
I mean, I will say, I don't think I've ever ordered a bucket at KFC. That's a lot of chicken.
Oh, isn't that the thing?
They come in boxes. Yeah, you can
Like,
do it in boxes.
you get family buckets, I guess.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, it
I
mostly
think that's
comes
if
in
you were
boxes.
getting-
So if you were worried
okay.
about buckets, if you've got some kind of bucket phobia, you're probably
It's
fine.
not phobia.
How
I
are you
was
with
just-
rectangles? Do you like eating out of rectangles?
It's not the shape. It's not the shape. I was just like, I think the thought of, like, being like, what did you have for dinner or, like, for lunch? And I'm like, I had a bucket of chicken. Like, so it's like, feed me, please treat me like an animal.
I don't know. I actually think it would be kind of cute if KFC had like little teeny buckets for
Mini
like your
buckets,
3
yeah,
bits of
I would-
chicken. That would be
I
kind
guess
of
so.
cool.
I don't know. I'm not sure why. Like, it does. I think there's generally no real reason for it. I just maybe I think it might be
you're not-
that.
You're not missing much.
Oh, that
I
might be.
beg to differ.
Really?
KFC is probably my favorite choice of fast food.
Then why did you take me to the other chicken place? We could have just gone to a KFC.
Because I can't eat KFC no more.
Oh yeah.
So KFC, because it's fried chicken, I can't eat that because it's coated in flour. But beforehand, yeah, KFC would have been probably my favorite fast food of choice.
You can't
I really
eat
liked wicked
anything
wings.
that's fried with flour anymore.
No.
Your
No
life
flour.
is tragic.
No flour.
Anything
It
wheat
is,
based.
it's tragic.
Wow.
Yeah, anything wheat based. And it's really hard as well because if I want to have noodles, because I'm Korean, certain Asian cultures will use predominantly rice noodles. A lot of Southeast Asian cultures, I think, use rice noodles. Whereas I think China, Japan, and Korea, we all use wheat.
Buckwheat, yeah.
And so I can't eat a lot of Korean dishes anymore either. So it's a real pain when I'm eating with my family.
You have my sympathy. This is actually really tragic. That sucks ass.
it's wheat is actually wheat goes into a lot of things that you wouldn't realize. Even soy sauce goes into, I think, the fermentation process. So I don't know whether, I haven't really tested whether soy sauce affects me as badly. So sometimes I will take the risk when I have sushi or something, for example. But in general, I will try to avoid soy sauce now as well.
It's also traces of wheat because some products get made sort of in tandem with wheat processes. So even if wheat isn't in it, it can be contaminated.
And the thing about gluten intolerance, at least with celiac disease, is it's not like an allergy. It's an autoimmune disease. So what happens is it breaks down your stomach lining, I think. And so the reason why I actually stopped eating gluten more seriously is because I read that eating gluten could still affect you 6 weeks later because the effects of it just takes that long. So it's not just like a quick allergy, you have symptoms and then you might get over it, take some sort of pill and then you'll get over it. It stays with you a lot longer.
See, that's why I kind of hate when people jump on trendy trains like gluten intolerance, because there are like people who actually have stuff like that. It's actually really sad and actually really serious. And then you have people who are like,
anyone who is actually gluten intolerant despise those people.
It's similar to
because
like
they
lactose
also buy up all of
intolerance,
the gluten-free food that they need.
It's like people who are like, oh, I think I'm lactose intolerant, but then like at some point they're like, actually I do like milk, so I'm gonna drink it again. So I'm like, clearly you weren't lactose intolerant then.
And I do know some lactose intolerant people who are like, yeah, I'm gonna go a thick shake today and just spend all tomorrow on the toilet.
But they also have lactase.
Yeah.
Yes, the little pills you can take to kind of counteract it.
I think over time, I'm sure something will be developed for gluten as well, but I think it's the same. I don't think lactase actually absolves the problem entirely. I think it just delays the onset.
Maybe Netflix, so you have a little bit of joy in your life. Is that what you call yourself, Joy Girl?
If you want joy in your life, watch Joy Girl.
Oh my god, that sucks. Because I feel the same way. I absolutely love food, but like I'm blessed with no food allergies as far as I know at least, so that would be terrible.
Thank you.
Especially as a German, like our national dish is literally bread. So,
And I love German bread. You guys have such like seedy, rustic bread.
Nice and textural.
Yes.
We should go to the German cafe if you can eat anything there.
And you can look. You can look at things. Let's look at bread.
I suppose this is a weird form of torture that you'll be putting me
Watch
through.
me eat bread at the German factory.
And drink beer as well, yeah.
Yeah. Beer is also gluten.
Yes.
Beer also has gluten. But that actually works in my favor because if my friends are having beer and they're pressuring me to also have one, which I don't want to do because I don't really enjoy drinking, as I've now established, I can just say, no, I'm gluten intolerant, so I can't drink beer. So that one gives me an out.
So I'm going to write that down. It's only shochu for you, Sophie, when we meet.
There are gluten-free beers. They're becoming more common.
I'm sure they taste great.
I tried a bit of a gluten-free beer. It doesn't taste great. I think the biggest problem that I have, I'm sure a lot of people could start relating to this, but I find that when you have a dietary requirement like gluten intolerance, when you go to buy a product, for some reason it can't just be gluten-free. For example, a lot of foods that I buy will be gluten and dairy free, or it has to be gluten and vegan. And I'm thinking I don't necessarily have to take out the dairy.
To be profitable, they've got to tick lots of niches instead of just one.
Right.
It's very bizarre. I've seen certain things like fruit product be sold as vegan, and you're just left wondering, well, yeah, why the hell wouldn't it be vegan? It's just made of fruit.
It's become a marketing thing in general, I feel. Yeah. It's kind of like saying we're climate neutral or we're sustainable. And it's just like slapped onto things. Like whatever sustainable, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean in your industry. Just like gonna slap it on there.
Terrifying.
But that's a good point to end the podcast.
I'm hungry.
Same.
For something very specifically gluten-filled. We've been talking about fries and bread and chicken And fried chicken.
That was just I was literally just thinking where I'm gonna go for dinner. I was like getting really hungry.
KFC.
I'm gonna send like
You can take your KFC virginity.
Yeah, maybe I should. I'm just gonna take images of anything like that contains gluten from now on and send it to Sophie. Just randomly, like, just felt like sharing my dinner with you. It tastes fantastic.
This awesome, delicious
Yeah.
meal.
Even
Such
if I
a food
don't eat it,
sadist.
just if I see something delicious, I'm just
Picture
gonna
of your
send it.
meal in the bin. Just
I guess that's a good end to the podcast.
Okay. All right
It's
then.
an end.
Bye-bye, everybody.
It's an end.
we need a better ending.